A person wearing a tan ranger hat and gray shirt stands at a microphone on a stage. Behind them is a dark banner with white text listing various U.S. government departments and agencies.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tent of Many Voices. We have some dedicated visitors sticking around for some of the very last programs here at Billings, Montana at the Pompey's Pillar. If you haven't been in our tent yet, welcome to the Corps of Discovery 2. We have been traveling for 3.5 years, and all the rangers here have quite a few experiences to share with you. However, at this hour, we have a different presenter who's going to share with you about the Native American history here at Pompey's Pillar. His name is Howard Bogus, and he has his own biography for an introduction, so bear with me. Howard Bogus is an enrolled member of the Crow Tribe of Indians. He's the former director of the Bighorn County Historical Museum at Hardin. He's a former board member of the Museum Association of Montana, a board member for Pompey's Pillar Association here, board member for Yellowstone County Lewis and Clark Commission, as well as the Yellowstone County Museum, as well as the Chief Plenty Coup Advisory Council, where he is the charter member, and the Frontier Heritage Alliance. In 2002, he was awarded the Montana Historical Society's Trustees Award for contributions to Montana history and Indian culture, and in 2003, awarded the Montana State Parks Volunteer of the Year Award for research of the Corps of Discovery and the Crow, and volunteering in changing the displays at the Chief Plenty Coup Museum to involve Clark on the Yellowstone and the Crow Indians. In 2004, he was awarded the Peter Yegan Jr. Award of Achievement by Museums Association of Montana for furthering museums into being more important to Montana tourism by research of the history of Montana. In 2005, he began working with Elias Goes Ahead on researching the Battle of Arrow Creek through a grant of the Frontier Heritage Alliance from the American Battlefield Protection Program. He has walked and mapped the old Indian trails of Montana and studied Indian battles that were Indian to Indian, the trails of trappers in the military and Indian battles that followed and led to the trails of the immigrants that came to settle Montana. One of the greatest things he has studied was the Indian drawing of the people who lived here 1,000 years ago that tell the stories of the battles, the history of the life of the people, their attachment to the earth, the stars, the moon, the sun, and their religions. Excuse me one second. Their religious beliefs. These paintings are the stories of the people and how something that was painted 1,000 years ago on sandstone cliff tell us the happenings at that time. Many of the same images are used today on canvas by young Indian artists of today who have never studied the artwork of their people. Today, we call them the American Indian. So let's give Howard Bogus a nice warm welcome.
A person wearing a tan hat and gray shirt stands at a microphone in front of a dark banner. Text on the banner reads Natural Resource, Department of the Army, and Department of Energy, along with Bureau of Land.
Welcome to the tent.
Well, I say Shoraje. Welcome. Welcome to Crow Country, and Isbiamaje, which is Pompey's Pillar. We call Pompey's Pillar Isbiamaje because of the mountain lion's head that's in the sandstone up on halfway up the pillar, which most people don't get to see. It's not marked or anything, but it's very, very visible right there. But most people walk by it and don't really stop and look back at it because it's a thing that you see it on the way down, or when you're going up you have to stop and turn around. But that's what we call this place because of this stone mountain lion head that's halfway up there. It's natural, just blown in by the wind and the sandstone, the weather, whatever it took. But anyway, when Crow Indian people have used this pillar, we did a little dig right out here where that piece of lawn is out there, and in that there we found stuff 10, 11,000 years old. I mean, so you know, the Indian people have been using this pillar for for a long time. And what we seen was we found out there was chips, there was some arrowheads, points, other little things, but no, it was kind of a very neat dig, and it was very neat to find out what it was. I talked to a farmer here yesterday, and his father farmed this area right here, right up the valley here, and he said, my dad told us, he said, when I broke the land, when we farmed the land, he says, you can still see the teepee rings, you know, at this time, because where people use the land, it changes the color of the land. It's kind of hard for him to see them, but like he said, from sitting on the tractor and looking straight down on them, he says you can see that where these old teepee rings and things was. The Crow Indian people used, the Crow Indians, the Sioux, the Cheyenne, the Arapaho, the Shoshone, almost all of the tribes used the Yellowstone River. The Yellowstone River was the highway. We didn't use canoes. None of these tribes used canoes. They used horseback, and they traveled up and down the river, or before that, they used dogs and travois to go up and down the river. So that was the way that they was traveling here.
A person wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt and a white cap with a brown design stands against a plain beige wall. They wear a lanyard with a pendant and have long dark hair.
But one of the things that the Indian people would do, the pillar here is a place like no other place. Travel the entire Yellowstone Valley, from the very far reaches of the headwaters south of Yellowstone Lake, or all the way down to the mouth down at the Missouri. You will not find another place like this pillar, where there's just a big stone coming up out of the ground. There's none, no place else. There's one up the other side of Livingston that I was told it was like this, but I went up and it had a little neck going out to it from the hill. So it had not got to be just an island like this pillar has. But the Crow Indian people and all of the tribes of Indians would stop at the pillar, they would rest and camp. And we have to remember, it was a very, very important landmark. Very, very important landmark. Where just on the other side of the pillar where the old bridge is, that was the Crit River crossing. We don't know how many million years that river crossing is. It's old. It's been here for a long time. And the Indian people used it. The buffalo used it. I always like to tell people I would like to sit on top of a pillar a million years ago and just see what went by. That would be great for me. But no, this was a place that was always well used by lots of people. On the Crow Indian people, when they come up here and do the vision quest or prayer, when they came to do their prayer, they came before the sun rose. They had to watch the sunrise, and they had to say in their prayer thought until they could turn around in the evening and see the sun set. A prayer was from sunrise to sunset. And as it was told to me, if you didn't stay and do the entire day there, then most more than likely then your prayers would not be heard and listened to and would not come true for you. And your prayers was always something that you did so that you could set the guiding lines of your life so that you would kind of wish for things, or you would. And a prayer wasn't always said for just myself. If I go there to do a prayer, I don't say it for myself. I say it a lot of times. I will sit there and I will include all my friends.
A person wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt and a white cap with decorative trim stands at a wooden podium, facing left in profile against a plain gray background.
Or other people that I know that need help, or from my tribe of people. So, a prayer wasn't for just you. A vision quest was a thing that was done by the Crow Indian people on the pillar. When you do a vision quest, normally they're done 3 days and 3 nights. There's no, if we don't do the full 3 days and 3 nights, then more than likely your vision quest won't come true either. A vision quest is something that you do to see what's going to happen in my life ahead of time. You know, am I going to be an important person, or I'm just going to be somebody, nobody, or what am I going to do? Am I going to do things or not? And most of the time, people who did their vision quests, they did them. And when you did your vision quest at that time, you had to feel the physical pain. And the physical pain is from the sun, the wind, the rain, the cold of the night. You have to suffer all of these pains. And when you did, and a long time ago, to the story that was told me, when you did a vision quest, you was only allowed a small piece of buckskin to set on. And that was all. You were not allowed no clothing or anything such as that. And vision quests have changed a little bit, I think, to this period of time. But the Crow people still do go out to do prayers. They still go out to do vision quests. I just talked to a young man yesterday, and he said, he says, I need to go out and do this just by myself. He said, so I can sit and learn more about myself. What the prayer and the vision quest really was, a lot of it was about, was to learn more about yourself, to get to know yourself, and to get to like yourself. If you don't like you, why should anybody else? And that's the way the old Indian people looked at it. I mean, is that I have to do things for people so that I am liked. Indian people do a lot of gift giving. They give gifts all of the time. And when I give a gift, I mean, I never walk up and say, I gave that to you. No. When I gave...
A person wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt and a white baseball cap stands against a plain gray wall, holding a microphone cord, facing slightly to the right.
I give you the gift, I give everything away for it. I don't have anything in my mind ever that I ever owned that or was ever mine. No, I gave everything away. One of the things that happened amongst the Crow Indian people, Plentycoos was one of these people. Chief Plentycoos, who was the last chief of the Crow Indian people, he wore a headdress, went all the way to his heels, had lots of eagle feathers on it. And say I wanted to honor Mr. Plentycoos, and I had 5 eagle feathers, and I would say, well, I'll give these 3 eagle feathers to Mr. Plentycoos. And I know why I got each one of my eagle feathers. I had to earn my eagle feathers. You do not wear an eagle feather unless you earn that eagle feather. And but anyway, if you want, when you gifted these eagle feathers to Mr. Plentycoos, and I went out and I stole. See, I said I stole. No, Crow never say they stole a horse. We captured a horse. We didn't steal horses, we captured horses. It was an honorable thing for us to do. In our standings, it was very honorable to capture a horse. It's one of the most honorable things you could do. Okay, but when I went out and I captured this horse, I touched this brave, and I did something for each one of these feathers. When I give the feathers to Mr. Plentycoo, I give all rights to these feathers, and Plentycoo can say, when I stole this Cheyenne horse, when I stole this Sioux, when I touched this Sioux in battle, or I fought the Arapaho, and I earned this feather. Them stories are plenty cruises. They totally belong to him. They're totally out of my mind forever. I cannot ever say, I did this. If I talk about it, I'll say when Mr. Plentycruise did this. I never claim it in any way. And that's the way gift giving is amongst the Crow Indian people. When we give a gift, it isn't that we don't hold no ties to it at all. But on the pillar up here, it's got some very, very interesting sights on it. It's a virtual history book, the pillar is. From the Indians back to the days of the shield-bearing warrior.
A person wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt and a white cap stands in profile near a wooden podium. An American flag is visible on the left side of the frame against a plain gray wall.
They're painted on the pillar up here. In fact, if you read Mr. Clark's diary, I carved my name into the pillar. And when I carved my name into the pillar, there was two painted, Indian painted markers right here. There are two shields, a red shield and a gold shield. And they're both within 2 feet of the left-hand side of his signature. So, but the Indian people have been using the pillar, like I say, for 10,000 years, we know, because of the items that's been found right here at the very base of the pillar. In our own collections at home, we got lots of photographs of the pillar and things. There's some very interesting ones. According to the diaries, Mr. Clark did not allow his men to sign the pillar. But we have a photograph at home, and it's crossed tomahawks like this. And this photo was taken back in, I am not sure just how long ago. It was published in a book that was published about 1951. And but anyway, it said that the men who were with Clark on the expedition carved the crossed tomahawks for Sacagawea. Now in Crow we say Sagawa. So every time that you go to a different reservation, it's going to be said to you differently, because we don't talk the same. And Sacagawea, when I look at that's kind of a French. It's more of a French word. We don't have any kind of words like that in our Crow tribe. So we just say Sagawa. In our Crow stories, there was a young lady that was captured by the Crow Indian people. She lived with the Crow approximately 2 years. And when she lived with the Crow Indian people, she was treated well, but the thing of it is, at that period of time, if you captured a woman, then most of the time you would use her, take them down.
A person wearing a light blue shirt and white cap with brown stitching stands against a plain beige wall, gesturing while speaking. They wear a lanyard with a microphone around their neck.
And you would use her she would be trade goods. And there's a very possibility chance that Sacagawea was probably captured by the Crow and then taken down and then traded in the stories that I have at home. So it's there's different theories of how she came about. All we know is that it was lucky for Lewis and Clark that she did, because they'd have never made it without her. But I always have looked up here for that, but there's a big rock that's caved off in the last 50 years or so up here, and I would suspect that that's probably where that cross tomahawks was at. And how old that photograph is, we don't know, and I've never seen the original photograph, only the print that's in this magazine. That was, like I said, it was printed in 1951. But the Crow people would come here and do their prayers and stuff. They would paint their shields. Most of the shields that are on this pillar, for some reason, are gold. And I've been researching shields and stuff up and down the valley, paintings, carvings in the rocks. We have found over 400 in this valley here. And that doesn't mean it's a short distance. That means from Forsyth all the way up the Yellowstone, then tributaries. But when you studied the paintings, you always kind of look to try to figure out what does the painting mean. When I was a child, first time I came to Pompey's Pillar was in 1946. Came here with my mother. The reason we came here, we was living at Warden, Montana. My dad worked up here at the experimental farm for about a year and a half, 2 years. And but the reason we was over there was my mother took me along, and because she didn't want to set up there the entire day completely by herself. But we came early that morning and stayed the entire day, and it was to say thank you, because she had 4 sons and 3 brothers returned from World War II. That's what it was for. And places like this are still being used like that by the Indian people. No, we very much believe in doing prayers and
A person wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt and a white cap stands against a plain beige wall, looking downward. They are wearing a lanyard with what appears to be an identification badge.
And things yet today. And different families have different places that they go. We don't all go to the same place. But wherever we do generally go, it's a different type of a place. And like I say, this pillar is the only one in this valley. So that makes it, totally different than any place else. And when I did my vision quest, I was taken up there by a clan uncle and an uncle. And when I did my vision quest, I was taken up on Pretty Eagle Point, and I was left there for the 3 days and 3 nights. It's in a way it's a very scary thing to do, because you have to be less than 10. You have to be about 10 years old. You have to do your first vision quest before the time of puberty. Vision quests are done by both men and women, so it's not something that just one of us does. A lot of times, sometimes people will, a man and a wife, they'll go out on to do something, and maybe they will be within sight of one another, but they'll stay their time and do their prayer and stuff. But they don't talk to one another. They don't visit. I mean, they just both sit there and. Like I say, the whole thing about it is to think about what's going on in your life, what is going on in the life of the Crow people, what's going on in the life of your neighbor. Or maybe you have a young friend that's not doing very good. You sit and you do your prayer for all of them. But like I say, you have to go from the sunrise to the sunset for it to come true. When I used to come up, I mean, we walked up an old trail. We started up right there in the corner there, and actually it goes up underneath the stairway about 4 different times. You cross the original trail that the Indians people been using for thousands of years. When you go up the stairs. But when the Crow Indian people, we had, at one time, we know for sure that there was 3 bands of the Crow Indian people. There was the Kick in the Belly, who were on the Powder River. They were on the Platte River across Nebraska. They were all actually on the Platte River, and
A person wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt and white cap with patches stands against a plain wall, holding a microphone with a lanyard around their neck.
according to superintendent records from 1850, the superintendent records talk about the Crow people being almost near the Missouri River down the Platte. So they was very far east at one time. Through the superintendent records, which kept track of the tribes in the 1850s, the Crow people were near Minnesota. They were near Iowa. It was in eastern South Dakota. It was in the panhandle of Nebraska, northeastern Colorado, and Wyoming. So they were scattered over a pretty large area. In the Treaty of 1827, when the Crow Indians signed their first treaty with the United States government. And when they signed that treaty in 1827, or 1826, I'm sorry, when they signed the treaty in 1826, the Crow Indian people didn't give nothing to the United States government. The United States government asked for nothing. It was a treaty of peace between two nations. The United States government recognized the Crow as a nation. And it's the same as we have treaties with nations today. But that was the first treaty we signed. And then it was in the 1851 we started working on the second treaty. Well, at that time, well, maybe I can go back here a minute. Treaty of 1826, when everybody was the treaty was all signed and everything all came back up, they asked the Crow Indian leaders, they say, well, where do you live? Where do we find you? They had no idea as to where we were. And at that time they told them, they said, the Crow set our lodges with 4 main poles. We are the only tribe that uses 4 poles. The rest of the tribes all use 3 for their main poles. Yeah, we have the bear, the cougar, the owl, and can't think of the other one right offhand. But we have the 4 main poles all named, and we get power from all of these. Oh, the other one's the bear. Let's see, the bear, the cougar, the owl. Okay. But anyway, when we set up our 4 poles.
A person wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt, tan pants, a white cap, and a lanyard with a microphone stands against a plain beige wall, looking to the side.
We set up our first pole near the mouth of the Yellowstone River, across the river. We set up our second pole in the gap where the buffalo come through. The gap for the buffalo come through, I've researched it for 25 years. And I finally had a person who used to live over there. She was worked for the National Park Service over there, and I was telling her about that one day. And she says, oh, I know where that's at. Buffalo Gap, South Dakota. It's on the southeast corner of the Black Hills. That's where the second pole was set. And then the third pole was set at the Gurgling Waters. And the Gurgling Waters is south of Green River, Wyoming, near the Continental Divide. The fourth pole was set at near the Three Forks of the Missouri, the headwaters of the Missouri, where the 3 rivers come together. That's where the 4 poles come from. But they said, but you remember, a lodge is round, so the lodge goes out much further than the poles. And the Crows were on the Milk River, going up into Canada. It was at the headwaters. They was way up the Missouri River, going up the Sun River. We have records of them being of the Crow living on the Sun River, which is now near Blackfoot Reservation. And at that time, that they was constantly fighting with the Blackfeet over to keep the Sun River area. And then to the southwest, I mean, they was fighting the Shoshone to keep that corner of their land. So the Crow they were constantly on a move. They never stayed in any place very long because they was always moving here. They would go over here and they would move the Shoshone back. Go over here, move the Blackfeet back. Come over here, move the Assiniboine back. The Sioux, the Cheyenne. They was always trying to keep their borders. And what actually happened is the smallpox in 1838. When the smallpox came up on the steamship, what actually happened was 10 days out of St. Louis, the captain noticed that this one guy was kind of ill. Captain immediately recognized the man as having smallpox. When he quarantined this guy, he put him in a little room, stay there, don't bother nobody, don't touch nothing, stay away from everybody. But at that time,
a person wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt and white cap with a logo stands against a plain beige wall, gesturing with both hands while speaking.
The steamships did not travel at night. They were always tied up at night. So everybody went to bed at night. Well, this guy that had the smallpox would get up. He would separate his blankets. These will be traded to the Sioux. These will be the Cheyenne. The Shoshone will like these. All of the different tribes, because we all like different colors, we like different designs. He knew which ones they wanted. He was separating his blankets. This is how the smallpox got into the blankets, by the man getting up at night with the smallpox, handling the blankets, all of his trade goods. At that time, it's hard to believe, but the Northern Plains Indians were almost 70% destroyed, almost near 70%, over one man having the smallpox and trading his goods. Billings, Montana, there's a place up there that we call, where there's a burial site where many of the Crow people are buried that got the smallpox. So, like I say, little things grew into great big things. It's hard to believe that one man having the smallpox, moving his goods around, he destroyed 70% of the American Plains Indians. Because we have to remember at that time, all of the tribes of Indians went to Fort Union to trade. And we all knew what time to be there. When we went to the trade, we got along. When we got back to our own country, then we was into the territorial thing again. And when we got to being in our territorial things, then we was very bitter enemies. But when we was there, we got along. We didn't camp together, but we tolerated one another. One of the things that many of the traders would do up there, they would say, okay, the Sioux can come in today and trade. Tomorrow, the Blackfeet can come in and trade. The next day, the Crow can come in and trade, or the Assiniboine. They would let the tribes come in, one tribe at a time, so that they wouldn't be arguing over the goods or anything. And one was always probably thinking that the other got more for his than the other one. So there was a lot of little things like that took place. But I've been doing history near all of my life. I've actually got...
A person wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt and a white cap with a leopard spot design stands against a plain beige wall, facing to the right.
Papers at home that I started collecting when I was 7, 8 years old, from Robbie Yellowtail. I have papers from him. To me, they're very, very valuable today. Curly was a good friend of Robbie Yellowtail when she was young. She was his secretary and did all of his typing. But I don't know how time, am I getting in my time here? Okay. Maybe I better stop for some questions then? Okay. Well, is there any questions that anybody'd like here on this? I always enjoy questions.
Well,
Yes. Okay, there was the kick in the belly, the river crow, and the mountain crow. But like I say, they were spread out very, very long distance. When I started studying the paintings that the Indians have painted here, I go to one painting that is carbon dated, 950 to 1,000 years old. It is Crow stories on that painting. It's my Crow family, our Crow life, our things that we believe in for every day. That one painting is 950 to 1,000 years old. So the Crow have been here for a long time. In my own way of thinking, I don't believe that the mountain crow ever left the mountains. I think the river crow went into the Dakotas, Minnesota, into Canada. That was the river crow. I believe that the kick in the belly were the ones who made the journeys to the south. Because we have, in our Crow stories, we have stories actually where we was probably more than likely in Alabama, Louisiana, southern Texas. According to them stories, they say that these people left, and it took them 5 generations to return. 100 years. Yeah, 100 years. Yes.
Okay, hold on. Let me come to you so we can all hear you.
Up at the Pictograph State Park. Some wonderful artwork up there. Could you tell us a little bit about what took place there and who did that artwork? What tribes?
Okay, he's acting about Pictograph State Park near Billings, south of Billings. It's a great place to go visit. It's an easy place to get to Pictograph.
A person wearing a light blue shirt, tan pants, a brown belt, and a white cap with a logo stands against a plain beige wall, with one hand on their hip, appearing to pause while speaking.
Most of the places you climb over rocks and climb up mountains and side hills and sand and dirt and whatever to get up to them. But that was very, very easy to get to since they got good trails and stuff going up to them. But no, there's okay, the turtle is in there. The turtle is our calendar. It has, how many of you have counted the blocks on a turtle's back? Yeah, in our river turtles here, there's always 13. Okay, that's our calendar. In the early Indian people, when they was using the buffalo hides to make their lodges, they used 13 poles. We have 13 full moons. So, I mean, 13 is a very, very good number for Crow Indian people. I am not superstitious about 13 at all. When I got 13, I'm always kind of delighted.
If you have any other questions, just raise your hand. We'll get a ranger to you with the microphone. So, okay.
Is there any animosity between the river crow and the mountain crow?
Oh boy. Well, let's put it this way. A mountain crow, oh, I say, them river crow. No, we get along, but, you know, there's tradition there. 1871, when the United States military went down into the lower Yellowstone country, gathered up the river crow, and they brought them back up here. The mountain crow were already at Fort Parker. And the crow called Fort Parker, where we lined our lodges in a straight line. And that's what they called Fort Parker. But anyway, when they brought the river crow up there, they was going to let the river crow set their lodges up in a line straight across from them. Well, before the sunset that night, they had every man, woman, and child that could carry a rifle in between the river crow and the mountain crow, because we were going to go to war. We were going to fight. In the 1868 treaty, the mountain crow were given a treaty up here. In the 1868 treaty that the
A person in a light blue short-sleeved shirt and tan pants stands against a plain wall, wearing a white cap and a stethoscope around their neck. They are raising one hand while speaking.
river crow signed with the Assiniboine. They was given a reservation on the mouth of the Yellowstone up the Milk River. So the mountain crow didn't want to share with the river crow because they had a reservation already. Yeah, no, and it's still when you go down to council today, if you go to the council, river crow and mountain crow. The Kick in the Belly clan, I'll just get into the Kick in the Belly clan right now. The Kick in the Belly clan, in about 1850, in the 1850s, they had so much pressure put on them by the Cheyenne coming from the north out of Kansas. The Sioux who were in Kansas and eastern Kansas were coming to the north. They was putting so much pressure on the Sioux, or the crow that was on the Platte River, then that they started moving to the north, moved over onto the Powder River. Then they was finally given so much pressure onto them on the Powder River that they moved over the Bighorn Mountains into the Bighorn Basin with the mountain crow. And what I've been told that within the recent years here now, that the river crow, the Kick in the Belly clans are completely gone. So we don't no longer have 13 clans, because the Crow had a clan system. Okay, our clan system was that I'm a whistling water. So my mother was a whistling water. My grandmother was a whistling water. My great-grandmother is a whistling water. And you always become a member of your mother's clan, never your father's clan. You are a whistling water and the child of your father's clan, whatever your father's clan was of the 13 clans. Yes, anybody else?
Hold on, let me come over here.
I'm always interested in Lame Deer College, a wonderful Indian college. And I noticed you were talking a while ago about these tribes coming together. Could you tell us a little bit about how that Lame Deer College came to be over there in that area? And is this where the tribes came together that you were just talking about when the reservation was established?
Okay, he wanted to know about how the Dull Knife College came about over at Lame Deer. Well, I'm not really for sure. I mean, it's through...
A person in a light blue short-sleeved shirt and white cap with brown trim stands against a plain beige wall, speaking or presenting. They wear a microphone headset and have a lanyard around their neck.
They start out with federal grants, and then we have to run them off of actually other grant money that people donate to the colleges. Almost every reservation has got at least one college. The Sioux have 3 colleges. It's because, and the reason why they have three is because they have one in southeastern South Dakota, they have one in northeastern South Dakota, and one up in North Dakota. So that they're, and that's where they're the Sioux is, they call themselves bands. There's 7 bands of Sioux, and they're pretty well scattered. But no, the Crow have their own college, Little Bighorn College, and it's basically run on the same situation as the Dull Knife is. Rosebud Rosebud on the Sioux reservation, they're all the same. I mean, they're constantly on the search for dollars to keep their doors open. Yes, anybody else? Yeah.
How did the Indians make their paints?
How did Indians make their paint? Okay. I've really been looking into that and trying to figure it out. And my own theory is, and stories that I have been told by elders from a long time ago, they use the ochres that are in the sandstone. The ochres in the sandstone are tree roots. There's several different. We have to remember at one time this was swamp. I mean, there was a lot of swampy type vegetation up in this country. There's a lot of water up here, and this was millions of years ago. But anyway, what ochre is, where I found it is in sand rock, and it's a tree root, and it was probably just sand at the time when the tree grew there 65 million years ago. And then I've always wondered how they mixed it. I was told that they would take their saliva, their urine, their blood to mix it, because them are the 3 things that probably stain worse than anything in the world.
A person stands in profile against a plain gray wall, wearing a light blue short-sleeved shirt and a white cap with a decorative band. They gesture with one hand while speaking into a microphone on a lanyard.
And they get that mixed in with their, and I'll tell you, these guys didn't pack a jug of water along with them. They didn't have a water bottle. And when they went up there to draw these paintings, they used whatever they had, and their urine was probably pretty handy. But I've always said, and I would like to see it proven one of these days, but I really feel that there's a possibility you could take a paint chip off of these 1,000 to 10,000 year old paintings and get DNA. Okay, anybody else?
Are the little people just on the Crow reservation, or are they on other reservations too?
Well, we kind of, her question was, is the Crow people on the Crow reservation or other reservations? Yes, we've intermarried into other reservations, and that's nothing new. The Clark's Fork River on the Yellowstone, which is just south of Laurel, Montana. Clark's Fork on the river is known as the valley where we all came to dance. That means the Cheyenne came there, the Sioux came there, all of the tribes came in the Crow. We all got along in there. They done sun dances in that valley. There was also marriages took place between the tribes, and so people moved into with other tribes in the very, very early days, as they still do today.
We have time for one more question if there's one out there. Otherwise, you're also welcome to ask Mr. Bogus any questions you have after the program. Yes, sir.
Would you say that after all these hundreds of years, there has been like a formal type of healing between what was done to your people by the white invaders? I mean, has any ceremony been done that would more or less resolve? I mean, is there any hard feelings left even now after hundreds of years? Or has that been pretty well healed up now?
Well, I'll tell you what, as I was taught in my life, you know, you don't dwell on these things that happened to you a long time ago. They happened. We today, we ain't got nothing to say to change it any. No, we don't really dwell on it. No, we do have a little fit once in a while, and we think, you know, we really got cheated out of this, and we really got cheated out of that. Because you take now, remember how much...
A person wearing a light blue shirt, tan pants, and a white cap stands at a microphone against a large gray backdrop. They hold the microphone to their chest with one hand.
How many millions of acres I just described to you as what the original Crow Nation was. In the treaty of 1851, we was 39.4 million acres in the Treaty of 1851. Now we are less than 3 million acres. We treated it all the way to the United States government with a broken promise. I brought my shield, brought this with me today. This is my Lewis and Clark medal. This is the type of a medal that was taken. I've always looked at this very, very funny and thought about this. I have a pipe that's upside down. Indian people, when I turned my pipe upside down, I dumped out all of the piece. There's no more piece left in that pipe. I also have a tomahawk. I bash in somebody's head with that tomahawk. I have 2 military uniforms. That always tells me the United States government wanted to break the peace. They wanted to fight, bring in the military. They did. And it's all of it was on this medal. This is a medal that Mr. Jefferson sent with Lewis and Clark. So, like I say, it's always been a broken promise with the government, with the Indian people. But, you know, we don't dwell on it, you know. Hey, we like new cars. We like to get on an airplane and fly to Washington, D.C. You know, it used to be we went to Washington, D.C., you know, I mean, just a journey back there, you know, that was a 2-month thing for us to go back to Washington, D.C. Now we fly in on Monday morning, we're home on Wednesday night.
Mr. Bogus, thank you. We all thank Mr. Bogus for coming to the tent. All right. If you all have any further questions for him, you're welcome to address them at any time after the program. We have about 10 minutes before we start our next presentation. It will be the ethnic diversity of the Corps by one of our very own Rangers, Trent Redfield.